Hey, welcome back to a new episode of Mindful Pulses. If you like this episode, please share, please like, and please forward the video to your network. I appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about a topic dear to my heart, time. Time. I don't know if it's me or if this is a sentiment shared by many people, but I do feel that post-COVID, a lot of the people that I know, a lot of my family members, my friends, and of course me included, have aged quite a bit. Hopefully that's not the vaccine, but I do feel that suddenly, things have accelerated, and we sort of, as a people, as human beings, we sort of came out of this, really, that 3 years ordeal, very, very stressed, and that, I don't know, if you pay attention around you, people that you used to know, everybody has aged so much, and I wonder if it's because of the collective stress, maybe. I'm not sure, but it is quite striking. Fortunately, I still don't have much white hair. It's started here, but that's okay. Anyway, where do we start? Probably, and I spoke about this in another video, about the concept of stretching time, and how there are ways for us, I think, to hack the way we perceive time and potentially extend time, at least the perception of time that we have, by doing things like traveling often, or traveling to places that are very, very different from where we live. Even when I go back to my house in Mexico, even if I go for 3 days, I feel that I was gone for like over a week. And researchers explain that this is due to the fact that you have to break a lot of your routine that you normally have at your home base. So the fact that you would have to eat different things or go through different motions to just after you wake up, interconnect and communicate with people that you would normally not communicate with, the sceneries and all of those things, even the temperatures, that tends to create a completely new universe for you, and I think it's stacked in your mind as a relearning almost. And then what is interesting is that after, I think, week 2 or week 3, then time starts to become normal again, at the similar pace as to the way you would perceive time if you had not left your home. So that's interesting, and that's why I really enjoyed traveling as much as I did and as much as I do, even though as you get older, it is now exhausting to travel, far away. So I don't know about you guys, but any travel that's more than 8 hours, I now pay business class, because it's just so worth it to be able to lie down, right? I usually go back to Europe, once, twice, at least twice a year, and then Asia as well. And Asia is brutal. The jet lag also is pretty tough. But I digress. One interesting concept, I was thinking about this, and I'll do a full video about the very, very serious topic of death. But I was thinking about this the other day. If you agree, and if you want to believe that consciousness um, never completely disappear, that the concept of soul and energy, you know, dissipates but never completely disappear. And if you agree that maybe philosophically there is an opportunity for anyone that is gone to maybe wander, you certainly would agree that time becomes completely relative once you're no longer here. Meaning that, you know, the 10 years that pass here in on Earth presumably could just be 1 second or a minute on the other side. And I'm talking about this because I was telling my son the other day that, you know, potentially after you're gone, you really just leave your loved ones, hopefully, for just maybe a few minutes. Because while they will be living a full life or a long life on Earth, for the person who is gone, they have an opportunity to check back in, come back very quickly, and then that time is not perceived the same way. So it's literally just going to bed at night and waking up the next day dead, but potentially, you know, being with the loved one that you've been thinking about or seeking, that would in turn also die. I thought it was an interesting concept. That concept of how would you grasp the time, right? If at all. Anyway, I digress, but that's a big topic, obviously. A very interesting topic as well is how is time best spent. So I think it's sort of an obvious topic as you are younger and starting your life. My philosophy has always been that you should expose yourself to as many experiences, travels and cultures and languages and skills as possible. Really be a sponge, right? Take a lot of risk and leverage that flexibility, that elasticity that you have relative to time, but certainly be also very mindful and conscious that, you know, once you reach 30, 35, you probably should start thinking about a framework where you have your mind set toward things that you're good at, that make you happy, and you want to start focusing on that one sort of area or goal. So the methodology would be, initially you get out of school, you know, you want to explore, you're the sponge. Unless you're lucky enough, and a few people that are usually very high performers, are able to early in life recognize what they're good at and really focus on that from the beginning. Think of you know, artists like pianists or singers or actors, right? But unfortunately for the common Joe, it's not the way it works, right? Especially in light of a lot of competition and access to similar, at least in the Western world, similar sort of information or education. So first years, I would say, you know, 18 to maybe 30, you know, you should be the sponge. Take shitty jobs if you have an opportunity to learn a skill. I'm telling my older son, my 20-year-old, don't worry about money. It's a big mistake to worry about money initially in your life. You really should be looking for the experience, for the skill, the way people work together, and you have an incredible vantage point, right? Because presumably the people that you're going to be working with already have, you know, a mortgage and kids and payments, and, you know, and if you're still sort of in and out of college or early in your life, you maybe don't have all of that responsibility. So you can still sort of play the game and interject and communicate on a daily basis with professionals and learn the way they behave, which is really a big part of any kind of corporate job, right? It's presence at the end of the day, how they communicate, how they behave, how politics even work, and most importantly, of course, the skill set, right? Can you pick someone's brain and really understand the way they operate, or the way they influence someone, or the way they communicate with someone? those are skill set that are so valuable, and you have multiple safety nets, right? Because if, excuse my French, but I'm French. If the shit hits the fan, it's okay. You move on to the next job. In fact, you should early in your life probably bounce once every maybe year or every couple of years. I would highly discourage anyone starting, unless again they are an artist, to stick to a corporate job for more than 2 or 3 years. Big mistake. You should absolutely take advantage and move around as much as possible, at least until you're 30 and maybe even mid 30s. Then comes the second phase. So presumably by exposing yourself to multiple experiences, you should be in a position to know what you're naturally good at, and really sort of now focus on that, and realize that when you have kids, traveling is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for at least the first few years, right? I know there's a lot of folks that are on the road and do homeschooling, but it wasn't for me, that's for sure, and that's something that probably is reserved for very dedicated parents. I don't think that's an easy thing to do. And then you've got that phase of 35 to probably 50, where I would call that the years that you're not necessarily kind of the grind, not necessarily the happiest, because now you are accumulating debt, mortgage, and responsibilities. And then you hit 50, and presumably your kids are starting to get to be grown. You have more experience. You already potentially went through loss, but certainly you've been bruised by a lot of trials and tribulations. It's just the nature of life. And so I think you enter that last chapter, maybe there is a fourth one, but in your 50s, with a sense that time is now becoming the most important commodity, right? And so there is now that sort of outlook and philosophy around what is it that you want to do with your life. Presumably, if you plan on retiring, you're 10, 12, 15 years away from retirement. Another video anyway. I don't believe in retirement. I think it's a death trap. You always want to stay active, of course, but certainly want to probably, in my case, balance your life a little bit more, and definitely keep time to yourself, to your hobbies, to your family, to things that really get you going and get you excited. And I think that money and status, at least in my case, are of much less importance, right? So I know some people sometimes summarize this as learning, accumulating, and then giving away. There's certainly that concept, but I would say that in your 50s through your probably 60s, it's a time where you really want to enjoy. Some French humorist said that being 50 is kind of like being an adolescent with a credit card. I think that's pretty accurate. With a credit card that hopefully you can pay off. So it's definitely something that I think about quite a bit. I wake up in the morning very excited, not so much necessarily because of a job or even a travel, but just being alive, and just being able to enjoy the day and sort of organize my day, and knowing that I'm going to be able to do the things that I love. There is an excitement level. I think that's also tied to some of the physical limitations, because when you get to 50, you will start, having pains, and that's certainly why one of the monumental decision I made on my 50th birthday, and believe me, it wasn't easy as a Frenchman, was to completely and utterly stop any kind of drinking, any kind of alcohol. I loved drinking red wine all my life, but it's devastating if you keep doing it in your later years in terms of cancer risk, and in my case a lot of cardiovascular risk as well. So I completely given up drinking. I will admit, I may have a few glasses, on very rare occasions, like maybe a birthday or some big family events, but no more than 2 or 3 times a year, which is a dramatic reduction from what I used to do, which was probably more like 1 or 2 glasses probably every day for 10 plus years. I'm sure people will be looking at drinking alcohol as smoking cigarettes 10, 15 years, 20 years from now. But that's another subject, another video. So time is really precious, and I know I always go back to my video about cold and exposure to ice cold water. That's linked to that concept because it's all the more important to learn to be in the present, to learn to be in the moment, something that is being robbed away by all of the screens we have around us. Being able to really spend at least 20-30 minutes a day in some kind of any kind of solitude, and the ability to slow down really, and whether it's cold exposure or heat exposure or just breathing exercise, really help you slow down everything, and I think that's very important. So tell me what do you think about all of this? Do you have a different perception of time, or is it kind of the same throughout? I feel that in my case, I'm definitely very grateful for each day that passes by, and I try to live to the fullest every day, even when I'm at the office like today doing a quick video. Look at this beautiful building behind me. Those are very modern headquarters. I think those are I believe those are pharmaceutical companies. So and then I think the other thing that is really important is just the ability to pass, to have time together as a unit, as a family, with your friends or your family. It's something that I would definitely cherish and try to organize as much as I can. I'm heading to Alaska in a couple of days, and I'm going to be doing a cruise with my family, and I think this is going to be great. Not so much for the sake of doing a cruise itself, but it's actually because it's sort of in a confined environment, without internet, without screens, and that's gonna obviously give us an opportunity to as a family unit to be engaging more. Whereas I don't know how it is for you guys, but oftentimes you can see that everybody's kind of on their phones or their computer, which is kind of a real shame. But we've talked about this before. Anyway, please feel free to comment, give me as much feedback on that. I'm really interested. How you're perceiving time, and what do you intend to do with your time in the coming months and years. I'm really interested. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please share, like, send it to your network, and I'll see you on the next one.